it's not so much the VOD title as like the email notifications that go out to people. Although I don't know if it spams people with 2 emails when I start the stream 5 minutes apart. I don't know. Anyway. So I didn't get enough sleep last night because I woke up early. All right. So I'm going to clean up the screenshot stuff a little bit, and then I'm going to add some functionality to it, is basically what we're doing. So the color strip thing, I'm going to email about. I am cleaning up, modifying the screenshot code a bit. We have this screenshot color strip thing in that we used in the witness, but it's my impression that we do not do things that way anymore. I think we stopped doing it in witness HDR even because it didn't work in HDR for some reason. Should I take it out, or have we used this at all on this game? Adrian, this was a kind of cool thing where you could take a screenshot, load it into Photoshop, do some arbitrary color transformation on it, and then reload the screenshot into the game, and we would use color stamp that had been laid in the corner of the screenshot to interpolate all the transformed colors and use that in post-process to do the transform rendered game. Okay, so we will see what people think about that. I will not rip it out right now. Do I ever use Grammarly for my emails? I don't know what that is, but I don't use anything ending in ly. So yeah, the answer is no. Okay. So there's a few screenshot sizes that we do. So we set want screenshot width. And I guess we scale it proportionally. Yes. Okay. Maybe I won't edit this as much as I thought I was going to do. Who sets this? Want screenshot width. Developer commands. It's a program that fixes your grammar and stuff. That's a faulty idea for a program. That's one of these ideas. Okay, all of programming certainly, and maybe much of society, is plagued by things that are designed to raise the floor of quality to prevent things that are dismally terrible, but also lower the ceiling, right? So when you use something like that, that tells you what to write, you can't develop your own style that is inspired and like more interesting and different and better than what other people are doing, because it's going to tell you that's wrong, and it's going to tell you to write the boring thing. So you're learning how to be boring, actually, if you use a tool like that, which might be an improvement if you can't write a fucking sentence, right? So it's not like there's no use for tools like that, but the problem is, you know, the incentive is to advertise them as much more than they are. You don't think it's that aggressive that it would change your style? Of course it would. Of course it would. Style can be very subtle. Style is not, I don't know. Like if I would put into something like that, even, like I said, I haven't used grammar.ly, but I've used Microsoft Word and whatever. And if I put in the old short stories that I used to publish, it would just be nonstop giving me corrections. Nonstop. Even technical articles that I would write, like when I wrote for Game Developer Magazine, nonstop. Develop for language purists that cannot stand that so many non-native speakers make mistakes. But that's only one end of the spectrum, right? Part of what I'm saying is that super native people who know a language very, very well, are going to say things that stuff like this thinks are incorrect. That's just how it is. Clippy. Yeah, I'm not talking about Clippy. I'm just talking about the squiggles. You know, the squiggles that it puts under words used to just be for outright misspellings, which of course also sometimes had false negatives. But then at some point they added grammar suggestions, and it's a different color of squiggle. It's like red squiggle and blue squiggle or whatever. That's what I'm talking about. Should I just ban Sabat forever? Okay, we're trying out the new cup with the lid. it is insulated. It will keep the beverage hot. Oh, we're doing Golden Monkey today, so we're going to put some milk in it. In our souvenir, the Yard milkshake glass from St. Petersburg, Florida. How's the new laptop treating me? It's good. Like, unlike the Razer, it is actually useful from day to day, which is great. There are some things that are worse about it. The build quality is worse. The keyboard is worse. The battery life is much better. It doesn't have as much problem running things in a predictable amount of time. Like when I run the compiler on the Razer, I don't know if this is because performance versus efficiency cores or what, but like sometimes the compiler takes 1 second to build our game. Sometimes it takes 4 seconds. And I'm like, how am I supposed to develop something for performance when it randomly on this machine sometimes takes 4 times as long? And maybe there's something we can do about that, but last I checked, you can't really, although maybe we need to look into that again. Like say, don't use efficiency cores or whatever. On this machine, that doesn't happen. I actually don't know. Let's find out about this CPU. Right. This CPU is a little bit lower end. It doesn't have as many cores, but maybe that means it has no efficiency cores or something. How do I get the CPU info? It's been so long since I've done this. Device manager. Yeah, of course. All right, processors. i3 13900H. Total core. Oh, it does have E cores. Okay. So maybe they're just being scheduled better on this laptop for some reason. Or maybe that's not even the problem. But, you know, like if I go run the laptop here, and I run the compiler on the game, you know, it's pretty consistent. We're streaming, so it's a little slower than it usually is. But it's like, you know, 1.28, 1.3, 1.27, 1.27, 1. See, it's pretty consistent. Whereas on the Razer, like we would have nailed a couple 4s or 5s or even 7s in that. And I'm just like, I can't fucking use this. It's the turbo boost. Maybe the Razer keyboard driver eats up all the P cores. Yeah, I don't know. Like, it drives me nuts. Maybe they'll fix it. I hope they fix it. Maybe nobody's having the problem but me, but like, I doubt it. Did I consider buying AMD CPU laptop? I mean, I shop for laptop. Most laptops are unusable trash anyway, so I don't shop by CPU. I shop by what is the least unusable trash. And that's already hard. That already leaves only a couple models of laptop ever. Although, now that GPUs are pretty fast, it might start to be viable to buy non-Optimus laptops, like that are Intel only GPUs or whatever, to develop on. Like that's not good for developing high performance shaders and stuff, but that's not what I do most of the time. And so that would open up the market again to more things for me, and that might be very good. I might be able to, for example, I might be able to get a laptop with trackpad buttons and therefore make the trackpad actually usable by human beings. Intel has a project for core type detection and selection. What do you mean a project? Do you mean I have to link a C++ library to do this? That's trash. Like, I don't want to go read a project. I want, when I call create process in Windows or create thread, I want to be able to say, I want to be able to use set thread affinity mask or something like that to say, don't go on the fucking eCores. It shouldn't be a project. It should be one flag in an API call. What are some non-trash models of laptops? I don't know of any, actually. That's why I said the least trash. I don't know of any that are not trash at all. Okay. I'm looking for basically okay, so someone else on the team added these level previews, which is screenshots of essentially screenshots of a different size than we use in the game. And that's fine. But now I'm coming along, I want to do screenshots of a third size. I want to do just like full screen screenshots of whatever the current thing is. And so by the time you're doing 3, it's like, okay, maybe we should generalize a little bit more. So I'm just going to look at this code and figure out. So this is all setup code that's like visiting all the levels. This has nothing to do. So this just then sets some things. Currently dumping entire game. This is kind of a lie. Like, I'm just trying to simplify the number of state variables that we have. This, I think, made sense way in the past and does not anymore. Let's see. Entire game. Yeah, literally nobody reads that variable ever. So this is why you should look at these things, right? Yeah, we used to have subscreens, but we may want to enable some kind of incremental mode later. No, we don't really, it turns out. So that's one of those things where we had a question earlier in development, and so we left the variable around and the question's been answered, and we don't need the variable. Okay, so basically, I want to make a mode for making a trailer. I wanted to do a thing in trailer, actually early beta explainer, that shows a bunch of screenshots in numbered order. So this sets that up. Okay. Instead of this, we're going to load a file. May make this configurable later. Okay, read the file. I believe we have a success variable somewhere. Yeah. If we didn't read the file, log error, unable to read file, whatever, return. Okay, well, we're not dumping this. By the way, why are we loading the overworlds? We don't need that. Okay. Now, we want to say names is split file by new line, log file name, level names total, names dot count, and then for names, we're going to copy string trim name. All right. Okay. Now, we also want to set the folder. Level previews folder. Yes. Trailer shots folder is just going to be in screenshots. Okay. Hello with the rating people. What's going on? What's going on? There's so many people. We're just doing screenshots in the game. We're doing a different kind of screenshot. So I'll give people a little bit of a background. I'm sort of working on a little video to explain the video game. The title is not real. It's fake, so don't worry about that. In fact, the title that goes out in this video is even going to be different. But you know, it's this early draft video where I show like what's cool about the game, and it's got programmer art. But during one part of this video, so what around here we're going to say like there's a lot of levels. And then sort of to emphasize that there's a lot of levels, I want to show screenshots of a bunch of levels, right? And one way that you can do that in Premiere, right, is it'll import a sequence of bitmaps where the bitmaps are consecutively named in numbers. So you could say 000 dot, BMP or whatever. I forget what formats it accepts, but hopefully PNG is fine. And 001 and etc. And then you can import a folder in and it'll like treat that like a video. And so I want to do that with a bunch of screenshots. So what we're doing here is with this function, it's like you have a file that just has the name of all the particular levels we want to shot. And then we're going into the current screenshot code and we're telling it to screenshot those levels. And we haven't done this part yet. In fact, we haven't even called this function yet. We need to do that. But we're just going to have it name the files that way, right? And that should be nice. Is there a great Medieval Babe song in this one? There is not. There is not. Anyway, so that's what's going on. Start dumping, right. So I'm just going to say trailer shots. Start dumping trailer shots. Not very rocket science-y right there. Oh, right. All right. Come on, guys. What is happening right now? Why can I not run the game? Who broke the game? This is going to be a first trailer. This is going to be like a private trailer. It's not public yet because we don't know the actual name of the game yet. You can't publicize a game if you don't know the name of it yet. What the actual fuck? Let's make sure that we're updated on everything. Okay, compiler hasn't really been changed. What is going on? That is indeed what we just compiled. Let's try not the x64 backend. I feel like someone on the team checked something in and all right. I mean, maybe it's an x64 backend problem. I don't know. All right. So now if I run trailer shots, it's going to say we can't open the file because there is no file. All right. So now let's come up with some levels to put in the file. And I can do that just by looking in here. These are like, so I also have somewhere else a list of files to make sure to include. But here I can just sort of look and see which ones have programmer art and which ones look reasonably nice. And that's good enough to test this function all the way till I could make the sequence and put it in the video, right? And then after that, we could figure out what levels we really want. But so, all right, so we're going to make trailer shots.text. And I'm just going to put levels in there. So heroes 3, 4, 3, 5, 3, 6, 3, 7. In fact, that would be enough to test it, but we'll do a few more. We'll put a good 20 in there. Swap whiz harder. That's a good level. Unblock block. I don't know which one that is, but it's got a cute name. Wizard finesse 1, 2, 3. I kind of want to put Zachtronics in there just for the hell of it, but I'm going to do it. Even though it doesn't have final art yet. In fact, I also want to put some of these trippy wrapping, well, maybe, I don't know. Let's put some Heroes 3. We already did. Another Stone Stopper. Arcadia V4. There's just a lot of levels to choose from, you know what I'm saying? Flamethrower. We might use Flamethrower actually in a different clip, so. That works. Yeah, we're going to want to flash these by relatively fast in the actual video. So I want to get a decent number. Sorry about the CPU fans. I kind of think the coloring in this one needs to change, but the modeling is fine. I'm really making this longer than it needs to be. Okay. We're going to do that. Okay, so our trim isn't working. I was hoping, so we have this function trim that trims spaces off strings, and we're leaving some, like maybe a \r. Because, you know, I'm just loading the file and I'm splitting it by lines. And this should be a trivial operation for people to do. I shouldn't have to say more than I'm doing. I could imagine having just like a split lines function. Let me just check in case we do. Yeah, no, like splitting a file by lines should be trivial. So let's figure out what it is, first of all. So when we trim, It's a \r. What is \r in? Is that 10? Is it 10 or 13? Let's put both of them. Here's where I don't know if we actually support \r in our Lexer. Yes, okay. So I think that'll probably fix the problem. And if it doesn't, oh, God damn it, dude. What is happening there? All right. Boy, our CPU fans sure are going. I'll tell you what. All right, so here we go again on our own trailer shots. Here we go again on our own. These are exactly the levels I said in the order I said, which is great. And now we've got screenshots of all of those. And they should be in the screenshots folder. There we go. Great. I don't know about this one. I think we have an empty string at the end. Yeah, we should maybe make a utility function split by lines that just to do that. I don't know. Because it would be nice if you could just say names is split by lines and then for names. Yeah. Okay. So the next thing that we want to do, though, is we want to number these shots. So honestly, we shouldn't do it this way. Okay. So we need to reset this. All right, so here we're going to say true, and we're going to set the index. Okay. Okay, now under get next is shot name, we're going to say if it's numbered, we do something, otherwise we do this. We're going to say tprint % format int oops, this by, I never remember my options. Minimum digits equals 4. I think just that. Don't do x64. That's very bad. Okay. Trailer shots. Did I delete the old bitmaps? No, we're just going to delete everything in this folder. Boom. Trailer shots. The names are not right. That is fucking communist. All right. Maybe we don't call that get nexus shot name. Yeah, okay. See, this is... I should have looked before I left. This function doesn't even... Oh. I see. Okay. That's weird. It's weird to put that in this file. All right. This is not... Here we go. This is the one that we need. If we're numbered, otherwise we do this. Go here and delete all these. What did I call it? Level? No, trailer shots. It didn't work. Oh, because we're not... These probably went into the other folder. Because I screwed up. All right? Where did they go? I'm not like... Okay, so first of all, by the way, we're saving our campaign when we switch levels, and we're spamming on that file every time we update. So I'm going to fix that as well. Um, currently dumping Nexus shots. Okay. So now we won't save the campaign while we're doing this. But where did they go? Let me just print this. This keyboard is very not the best. It's easy, dude. It's easy to double tap keys. All right, level shot. No, trailer shots. Why are we still saving the game? So it claims that this is the file name. And that is clearly not happening. And oh, this is only when switching to a level set. So we must be doing it by setting want autosave. Request autosave. Request autosave. Maybe I'm just gonna do it in there. Yeah. All right. So I don't want to play this level right now. It's fun though. Debug build, low frame rate. How many entities do we have on this level? This is one of the recently arted levels. 2,000. It's totally doable. Um, looks great. Look at all the destroyed town. Look at the destroyed town. Hell yeah, brother. Okay. Um, so now we just have to debug. Well, I'm going to assume this autosave thing worked. What we got to do is figure out why we're not saving. So we obviously get here. We have a file name that looks, oh, we didn't put the extension. You know, that might be how we're deciding the file. We might be silently failing in fucking bitmap save. Let's see. I hate silent failures. They make me want to rage because they waste so much time. Yeah, like what? What? Why? Okay. We look at the extension and we save based on the extension. Log error. .exr bitmaps are not yet supported. I know exactly who wrote this code, and I'm angry at this person right now for wasting my time, but they have not worked at the company in a long time, so it's fine. Unhandled path extension, whatever, bitmap, path extension, whatever. See, if it had just said this, it would have already just saved a bunch of my time. Don't ever silently fail ever. All right? Don't ever silently fail ever. Ever. Never in a million billion years should you silently fail. Probably the same person as Alex. Yeah, it was Alex. Alex also programs. All right. Trailer shots. I don't know why we're also putting that in the texture compressor. Like, that's pretty weird. This is what happens when, you know, when you put stuff into a system that's like already there. But we got out our files. This was our objective here, right? So now, let me just make, let's just get end-to-end success here, all right? So we've got this. So now, oh, because I just deleted the files out and it's trying to reload the assets because they were modified. We're going to have to, oh, you know what it is? The hot loader will load as a texture any bitmap that it sees in data. So we might have to make a special folder. Actually, the screenshots folder should be exempted from this. So we'll do that in a bit. We'll make the hot loader ignore the screenshots folder. But, okay, so we've got all this. So I'm just going to go into Premiere here, and I'm going to go, I forget how to do it, right? I could probably just drag it. Does anyone know how do I add a clip? I think if I actually just drag the 0000, it'll actually do it. Let me see. Nope. I thought it used to pop up something that said, we see import. All right, let me just do this. Trailer. What if I do this? I'll select all. Screenshots. Not a new sequence. This is a clip. This is a clip. Import. No! Fuck you. Just do the right... It used to do the right thing, and it was so easy. Like, why do they always make things worse? What if I just import this one? Nope. All right. Dude, I did this whole thing. No, I'm not touching FFmpeg with a 500-foot pole, dude. That's such a garbage software. I can't. Nah, there we go. Select media to import. What if I... FFmpeg is great? Yeah, I believe that. Bro, it used to just do this literally automatically. Right-click import. Why do they keep making it worse? I had faith that I could still do this in the new version of Premiere. Right-click import in the Edit tab. Import ... Ah, here's the old UI. It didn't do it automatically. Import ... Image sequence. There we go. There we go. Oh, it's got it. It's got it. Okay. It might have done it automatically. Okay, so here we go. This image sequence is obviously... So my idea was to flash these by at like 5 per second. Oh, I can't. All right. Yeah. So it's got all the shots in there. It's probably 1 per frame. And if this is a 60 FPS video, which I don't remember if that's the setting right now, but it will be, we actually want, so first let's do this. Oh, I screenshotted in the wrong, because right now we're screenshotting at whatever resolution you start up as, which is probably 16 by 10. But when we take the real shots, we can just size the window correctly. Or we actually have a separate internal setting for screenshot size that we could set. Okay, so we've got all of them in there. We didn't even have to touch the horrible thing that is FFmpeg. All right, so now normally I would set the speed of the clip. I don't know if it'll let me do that in this case. Speed duration. Speed, 20%. All right, there we go. So like, I don't want you to hear my placeholder audio for this, but I'll let you know it's 4 minutes. Yeah, so that was about 16 shots, right? No, more than that. 17, 18. Let's see. Let's see. What was the file called? Trailer shots.txt. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. 21, hopefully. At 5 per second, that should be 4 seconds, which it about is. Anyway, we can change that rate based on whatever we want. But so part of the idea that I want to do is like to get across viscerally exactly, how do I close? Exactly how there's so many levels in this game. I want to just, from this part in the trailer forward, just have these going constantly, right? With just beautiful screenshots from the game that just goes and goes for the entire, this is about, actually we don't want to do it from here, sorry. It's from later, but it's probably about 30 to 45 seconds of the trailer. It's probably from around here, where we just show a bunch of these. And then if we pop up text or other things, it'll just be over this. But that's great. We've gone end to end. We've done the thing that I wanted to do. It took less than an hour. Should have been even faster. But you know, we ran into a couple snag holios there. But this is all I really wanted. So now when I go work on the trailer, the next step will just be figuring out what levels do I want, what sequence do I want. Like, do I want to do all levels? Because you can see how there's different visual themes, right? Like this is a different theme than that. And if we totally randomize, it'll feel random. But if we do a bunch in one setting, a bunch in another setting, and so on, that could be nice, right? Because it gives you coherence, but also change over time. Like these two levels are kind of funny because they're very similar. Randomizing would give the impression of more maps. I mean, maybe. But see, here's the thing. We don't have to give the impression of more maps. Like, we just have that many. We don't need to like pretend to bulk up, right? And so at some point, there's a thing about having confidence and acting with the confidence of how things are that comes. I'm not saying that's definitely the right decision, but I feel like that's one option, right? Like if you didn't have quite as many levels as you might want, you might take the tactic that tries to make it feel like there's the most levels. But we're not even going to put in all the screenshots that we have that look good. Like there's too many, right? And so, I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, we also don't want to give people epilepsy, right? We're not working on the trailer. This is not a public trailer. This is more like for giving information to like publishers and whoever about what the game is. It's just like a 2-minute thing that's like, here's what the game is. Here's what our plan is from now up until release, etc. It's sort of an industry to industry communication rather than industry to player communication. So it's a little different. It's different in character than what you would show at E3 or whatever, right? A little bit. Would I still send a build of the game? I probably wouldn't. Like for an initial communication, like what this is about is, hey, there's some people, whether they're publishers or platforms or whatever, that we might want to work with, right? Just because this is the kind of thing that they do. Like they do certain kinds of deals for certain games. Are they even interested in this game? You don't want to send a build of the game to someone who doesn't even know if they care about it yet, right? And so what you do is you first say, hey, are we interested in doing something here, right? Does it make sense? Is there something to happen? And that's what this is for, it's my job as somebody who runs a game development studio to initiate that kind of conversation, right? Almost always. Like if you have the massively most hot game in the universe, then it's not really your job to do that. Like for example, when Minecraft was first getting big or whatever, that is a different situation. But for almost every game, it's like the publisher doesn't really know about you or what you're working on, or platform person. Like it could be someone at Sony or Microsoft on the consoles or something, and so you just say, hey, here's what we're working on, right? What do you think? Is there a conversation to have? That's what this is for. How does it work with publishers in the game industry? Do they generally not want to own a piece of the game? Publishers generally do want to own a piece of the game, but you could imagine scenarios that are pretty rare where if the developer put up most of the money and did most of the development, maybe that wouldn't be true or whatever. And it depends. What does own a piece of the game mean? Does it mean that they get a decent percentage of receipts from the game? Or does it mean that they own part of the IP, right? Those are different things. What's going on with this screenshot right here? That looks wrong to me. What level is this? I think that's 1 verse 3. Any hot tips or tricks in what to avoid or look for in a publisher? I mean, it's complicated. Here's the thing. Nope, it wasn't that level. Nope. Where are we? Are we before or after those? Oh, it's the one right before that. I just wanted to look at this. Okay, that's just a weird shape. It looked like, in the small version of the shot, it looked like missing geometry. I have this flickering bug sometimes too. Fortunately, didn't affect this screenshot. So the thing is, you really, as an independent developer, you should try as hard as you can to not need a publisher. Because if you do need a publisher, you have no negotiating position, and then you're probably going to sign a bad deal anyway, right? So Yeah. What does a publisher even do? Marketing? I mean, there's a number of things they do. They could help market your game if you don't know how to do that. They can help fund the game. That's what most people really want from a publisher, is just money to finish development, right? Or to start development sometimes. But they also, they do relationship management. They know different people in different places at different platforms. If you don't have a connection into Sony or somewhere, right? Or if you would just be blindly emailing them and you can't get their attention, a publisher might be better at that. Etc. You also do the game actual trailers internally. Historically, we've done them internally. For this game, I feel like we'll do it internally as well, but I don't know. It's going to be, like I said, this is not a trailer for the game. So it'll be a while before we do a real trailer. So we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. That looks bad right there. Yeah, we actually did 2 trailers for The Witness. We did one when we announced the game, and then we did one when we were getting ready to launch. I think the one when we announced was maybe a little bit too long. In retrospect, I would have cut it down. Self-promoting is the tedious work that game developers don't like to do because it deviates from creating the game itself. Not really. No. That is not how I think about it. What will we be needing a publisher for? Well, we won't necessarily sign with a publisher for this game. We might. There's 1 or 2 publishers that we had very preliminary conversations with. But again, it's like just asking, does this make sense? And honestly, the answer for us is probably no. Because we don't totally need money to finish development exactly. Like, extra money always helps, or usually helps. Like if you had more money, you could probably do more or do it faster or start the next project before the current project is done. It gives you all these options. And so that's why it's worth having the conversation. But the reality also is that most publishers are going to want more for publishing a game than we're interested in giving them. Because we don't have to, right? And they're used to talking to people who have to. But on the other hand, this is not just for publishers. For example, it's for platforms, right? So if you go to a console, for example, or, people like Epic Store have free game of the month or whatever. We wouldn't, I don't think, do that for, we would have the conversation with them. Should we launch as a free game on Epic Store? I don't think that's appropriate for this game, but you at least should go talk to them about these things. And so for that's not a publisher deal. That's more like a platform deal, right? Like, hey, Microsoft, do you want to launch on Microsoft Game Pass? And sign that kind of a deal, right? Do you want to go to Apple Arcade on iOS and sign that kind of a deal, right? So in order to have those conversations with those parties, you need to show them what your game is. They need to know who you are and what you're doing and are they interested in what you're doing, right? That's what this is. Where do you get money for not releasing for 6 years from? Well, you make a game people want to play is most of it. There's some other details that I don't want to get into, but most of it is make a game people want to play. Any value in marketing with a publisher? I honestly don't know. I've never worked with a publisher on marketing. Do I ever need to say, do you know who I am? I mean, here's the thing. That's only good for so much anyway, right? Like, being known in the industry or being, you know, that's better than nothing. But what really reassures a publisher is if you made a bunch of money, right? So that's what they want to know, is like cold facts about how well did your games do. That's way more important than like do some gamers know who you are or whatever. Do you know how much I earn? I mean, it sounds crass, and it is kind of crass, but yes, like, you know, if you go to somebody and you're saying, give me millions of dollars, please, it's a very reasonable question for them to say, how do we know that we're going to get these millions of dollars back? Right? And if you can't give them an answer, then why should they do it? Right? It's actually very simple at some level. It's very simple. It's like a loan from a bank. Yeah, except banks don't really loan anymore. They just pretend like they do. But like, I've never been able to get a loan from a bank. I haven't tried that hard, but part of the reason I haven't tried that hard is because I never could. Yeah. But yeah, it's similar in concept. It's like, look, and that's really all it is. Like, here's the thing. Especially like when I first got into games, which was a really long time ago, I had all this nervousness around business and just a weird picture of what it was. And I knew that it's stereotypical that if you sign a contract with someone, they're trying to screw you. So like the first time I had 2 deals from 2 comparable parties and one was better than the other, I was like, oh, this other guy's trying to screw me or whatever. And it's like, no, they have different business realities that they're trying to act within and stuff. Like, it's mostly pretty straightforward in like doing business. Actually, right? So again, you know, you go to someone, you say, hey, do you want to give me a bunch of money? The very natural question is, why should we give you a bunch of money? And most indie developers starting out don't have an answer for that question. And so they feel weird about it. And they should feel a little weird about it if you can't answer that question. So they end up in more of a posture that's kind of like begging, like, please give me a bunch of money. And then the publisher says no. And then it's like an S&M thing. And they're like, oh yeah, we deserve being said no to, or whatever. Like, it's really weird. But like, if you can just answer that question in some way, even if it's not 100% sure answer, but just like, look, yes, we're new. Yes, we don't have a track record, but you know, here's maybe some stuff we've done outside of games. Here's exactly why this game is going to succeed. because here's what we're doing that's different or interesting or new. You just come up with that answer, and then either they'll be convinced by the answer or they won't. But it's, yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like at some level, it's very simple, right? Like the party who has all the money in these cases wants to invest it in someone, right? So you don't want to go with a begging posture. You want to go with a posture that says, I'm actually one of the people who will help return your money and increase it. And here is why, and here is how, right? That's just what it is. And yes, there are always, out there people who are a little dishonest or a lot dishonest, or people who will rip you off. Usually that's a minority of parties. So I can think of, I won't name names, but there's definitely one or two major publishers that I wouldn't even start a conversation with, knowing their history. But most places, so for example, the platforms that we work with, they're just, they don't want drama. They don't want to scam people. They've got a situation like, here's our current gen console or whatever. Here's the kinds of games we're mostly looking for. Here's what kinds of deals we do, and here's how much those deals are for. And they will try to negotiate a little bit hard with you, right? They'll probably give you relatively low ball offers to start with, but that's just kind of business. It's like, look, if we want to get the most that we can for our money, like anyone does, and so here's our offer. And that's what I'm saying about not needing a publisher, right? If you absolutely need a publisher or you're dead, then you can't negotiate for very long, probably, because you run out of food. And you, I wish I'd gotten more sleep. I could explain this better. You also just can't walk away if something is too low for you to consider, right? And then you just kind of have to take it because you can't get anything better. But really, if you're in a good position and you're like, look, we're just doing our thing over here. We're going to make this game either way. We could work with you if it makes sense, and we might not. And that's a very reasonable, stable, good position to be in. And that's how you negotiate good deals, right? Is by just not taking deals that don't make sense. You have to say no to a bunch of things in order to find the things that are good, honestly. That's just what it is. It's unfortunate because the publishers have the experience for negotiating, while an indie dev small group might have no idea how. That is true. That is true. But also, I mean, I kind of have no sympathy for a lot of indies. Like, because, I don't know. I don't want to get into this part of it, but newer generations of indie developers have a very entitled attitude. And I would, for example, go and try to help them, and they'd call me an asshole for criticizing, like, what they were doing in some way. And I'm like, okay, I won't try and help. I don't know. It just, is Indie Fund still going on? Yes, it is. Yes, it is. A good lawyer matters. A good lawyer does matter, but, okay, here's the thing. Lawyers cannot negotiate for you, actually. What they can do is look at a contract and tell you, okay, you need to take this part of the contract seriously because this clause here could cause something bad to happen that you don't want, right? This other part of the contract is unusual. You know, usually we would get better terms here or something. Like, they can do that. They can't negotiate because they don't understand your business or your game. You do. And that's where you find leverage, right? Like, so here's the number one problem with indies is that they can't negotiate. They can only pretend to negotiate, right? Like, they'll go to somebody. I'm going to use totally fake low numbers, right? Just because. They'll go to a publisher or someone and say, hey, do you want to fund our game? And the publisher says, yeah, we'll give you $100 and we'll take 50% of the money. And they'll say, the indie will say, well, no, can we have $125 and you can have 25% of the money? And the publisher will say, no, maybe we'll give you $105 and take 45. And then they feel like they did this haggling thing where they ended up in a little bit of a better position. But that's all fake negotiation because the publisher knows you're going to do that. And their initial offer is a low ball relative to what they expect to give you anyway. And you're not really like getting anything. And if you try to negotiate more robustly than that, they'll just say no, because they know that most indies just cave, right? So the thing is, in order to actually negotiate, you need a few things, right? You need to have leverage of some kind, and walk away leverage is the most fundamental kind, right? If you don't have the ability to walk away from a deal, you are fake negotiating. Because if you're going to take it no matter what in the end because you have to, they have no reason to give you a better offer unless they're being nice, right? Which sometimes they are, and that's great. But like, if you're just never going to say no, and then especially if they know you're never going to say no, that's fake negotiation, right? Real negotiation starts there. It starts with being able to walk away, but that's not only it, right? You have to also have something that they're particularly interested in for some reason, right? If you have a game that's interchangeable with every other game and there's nothing special about it, and maybe it'll be successful, right? Who knows? But maybe they're also talking to 100 other developers that all have games that might be successful and might not. Well, then here's where game theory becomes really pernicious, right? Because actually, in that case, being a good negotiator can cause you to lose the deal. Because if they're offering bad deals, but 90 out of 100 developers will take these bad deals because they're in poor positions and all this stuff, right? Then if your game isn't any better than those 90 developers who will take the bad deal, you won't get the better deal because the publisher is just going to sign all the deals favorable to the publisher with all these indies who can't negotiate and are bad at business, right? So you then need something good about your game that lets you be especially notable to the person you're talking to. And this is difficult because different parties are interested in different things, and you don't even necessarily know what they're interested in. It could be quite nuanced, right? So for example, somebody who runs a console, or there's different parties, for example, at consoles. One party at the console might want system seller kind of games, and maybe they have a picture of what that is. Like mascot platformer was a thing, not anymore, but like back in the day, right? Maybe another party, maybe if someone is running a subscription service on that console or something, right? Maybe they just want a game with a lot of playtime, or maybe they want a game with multiplayer, right? Who even knows? Or maybe, you know, extraction shooter was the big genre last year. Maybe they are looking for extraction shooters because they don't have one. You don't know what their agenda necessarily is. That's where making some contacts and having conversations in the background can help you understand. I don't think that's good because that can lead to this pernicious thing where you develop toward what people like that want. I don't think that's good because it takes too long to make a game and people could change their mind and pull the rug out from under you. But so different parties have different things that they're interested in, and if you happen to hit what they're interested in, that's very good for you. That's one way of standing above all the other submissions that they have, and that then gives you the ability to negotiate, because then they're like, okay, there's these 85 games, we kind of need to sign some of them, but we don't really care. Like, we need to sign 20 of these 85 games to have enough games. Some of them we like, it's kind of random, whatever, but there's these 5 games over here that we pretty much want because there's something special about them, right? If you land in that bucket, then you could really negotiate with that party, okay? So ability to negotiate is mostly about being in a good position. And to get back to that lawyer point, lawyers don't know any of this. They know about the law and contracts, right? And so there is negotiation that happens between lawyers, but that's like stage 2 usually. Because to get to that point, you have to talk to the business guys at that company and sketch out what you're doing, right? Like, okay, you get these rights, we get this money for this amount of time or whatever. You make that deal with the business guys, and then you move to the contract phase. And then the lawyers can do the lawyer part of the negotiation, right? But the major part of the negotiation that determines how good the deal is for you happens before that anyway, and you have to do it. Or if you have a business guy at your company, somebody at your company who understands the game has to do that. And that's the thing that most indie developers don't even have a clear picture of, and they don't do a good job at. It took me a while, and I understand why people don't have a good picture of it. It took me a long time. Even though, again, it's actually pretty simple. If you weren't like trained for it, it takes a while to get. You hired a lawyer for a patent, he's $600 per hour. I mean, hopefully it doesn't take that many hours, right? But like, what, I mean, if you're getting a patent, that patent, so first of all, if it's a software patent, go jump off a bridge. But, you know, like patents, if you're filing a patent, that should have an expected value attached to it, right? We're filing this patent because the EV of this patent is some amount of money, right? And so if you pay the lawyer 5% of that EV or something, that's fine, right? So if the lawyer spends, I don't know, 10 or 20 hours on the patent, that seems like a lot because most patents are honestly... So most lawyers in that kind of a business just like throw boilerplate crap that doesn't even actually make sense if you read it. But, you know, say he spends 20 hours on it, which seems like too much. That's $12,000. If you're not going to make way more than $12,000 off the patent, why are you filing it? Right? How many years do you have to be a programmer to get $600 an hour? I don't know. I mean, I certainly never charged that much, but last time I did contract programming was a long ass time ago, and there's also been inflation. Um, I certainly could charge a lot more now. I mean, you would have to be at the top of your field and be an expert in something that people want to charge that much. You would have to be a very specialized, well-known expert, and there aren't that many people who can do that. George Hotz talks about this since he's familiar with contract work. Yeah, I actually, I did a bunch of contract work for game companies between like 2001 and 2005 mostly. Some of it was good, some of it I did not do a good job. Regrettably. John Carmack was getting a lot more at Meta, I bet. Yeah, I mean, that's a different thing. So I assume that question was about hourly rate. So when you're a salaried employee at a technology company that is giving you a benefits package that is probably much larger than your salary, which, you know, when you hire a senior person into a very prestige position where there's like, yeah, there's like 2 or 3 people in the world that we would hire into this position, and they all have options, and they all want, you know, they all could do anything they want, and we need to convince them to work for us. Those packages tend to look very, very, very lucrative, right? They tend to look like we're giving you a bunch of stock options and whatever that, you know, over a period of 4 or 5 years, and those will be very valuable if you know, retain them all. And there would be grants and stuff. I mean, I have no idea what the packages looked like when Facebook acquired Oculus, but Facebook stock was already pretty high. So in those cases, because, you know, stock options, you only really make money if the stock keeps going up. Now, the stock did keep going up from there, but you might have had reason to believe that it wouldn't. And so maybe there were big stock grants in there. I don't know. But those packages, worth many, many millions of dollars, I'm sure. And again, I don't have any inside information, but yeah. Years used to be 4 years to full vest, 25% per year. Yeah, I mean, that kind of a structure is very typical. 4 years, 5 years, very typical. You know, that's called the golden handcuffs. That's just how things have been done for a while. I'm going to grab a drink out of the fridge, and then maybe we'll program some more. Instead of talking about business stuff. How many Carmack level programmers do we have in the gaming industry? That's a little bit too specific of a question, because here's the thing. At the very high end, programming it's a very multidimensional skill, right? So John, especially if you're talking about John back in the Doom days and the Quake days, not only was he very good in terms of raw programming ability and motivation and hours that he worked, which is already like 3 separate dimensions, but he also had a high amount of initiative in terms of figuring out how to accomplish technical things that hardly anyone else is even looking into because nobody thinks it's possible. Like, yeah, I mean, and so that's a very Carmack at that time particular mix, right? Like I think later in his career, the mix even changed and stuff. Um, and so who has the highest dot product with that particular mix? Probably still John Carmack, right? And if you ask how many other people do exactly that at the level that he did, the answer might be zero, right? But there are like other mixes of dimensions that are also highly um, just highly effective in different contexts. And so if you were to somehow ask, what's like the length of that vector or the effectiveness measure of that vector and how many people are there like that? There's probably a decent number in the games industry. Um, it's just, here's the thing. A lot of these people who are really smart are just like in contexts where they can't be that effective. Because again, they're inside some big company or whatever, right? And so, maybe that should count in the measure or maybe it shouldn't. But, you know, like imagine that you, whatever raw talent you had was exactly, imagine you took a clone of John Carmack, right? But instead of having him be at id in the early days and like just redlining every day on honing his talent, making stuff, imagine you drop him in the middle of Activision on the next Call of Duty, shipping, in 2 years, today. Is he going to become as good? I don't think so, right? So these things matter a lot. It's a difficult thing. I don't know. It's a difficult thing to talk about and figure out. It's mentally draining to work for Megacorp. Not just that, but you just don't get as much time programming. You're in meetings all the time. You're in the middle of like giant, hard to understand blobs of code written by people who haven't been at the company in 10 years. Like it's just a very different job and you just don't get to make as much stuff. Like technically. So I don't think that's as good of an environment for becoming a good programmer. It just isn't. Okay, let's program some more. So I want to exempt the screenshots from the hot loader. This should be trivial. Yeah, so here's what we do. We say catalog loose files in data. Wait, that's in data. Wait. Screenshots is not in data. Right. Okay, so this is what goes in. Yeah, this is for the... Let's just go look in hot loader. What? It's not in hot loader. Oh, it's in File Watcher. It got changed. Right. Let's go look at the module for a second. Raphael worked on this for a bit a while back. Okay, so what happens is, this is providing a cross-platform interface to noticing when files have changed. And so probably we just need to go look at the callback that we're passing into this, right? Okay. So we're rejecting, these are freaking Emacs files. We ignore those. Let's just ignore screenshots. Right? That's pretty straightforward. Now, let's actually put a little bit more of a comment here, because this touches on something I've been thinking about. Right now, we save screenshots in the run tree folder, which is installed with the game. This has been considered bad style for a long time now, or is it good style again in the way everything is circular? We probably should instead save to a screenshots folder in the user's home directory or something, right? If we do that, we don't need a rejection here. It's the 24th, right? It's the 25th. Holy crap. Guys, I don't understand time. Do not save in the user's document folder. Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying is, but part of the reason why that sucks is just because it sucks on Windows or whatever, right? Like Windows is incredibly bad at these things. Please don't put it in local app data. Yeah, I mean, for Sokoban, for Witness, we put it in the app data folder. For Sokoban, we put it in. See, this is what's so terrible. I went to Documents, and I can't even go up one folder from that. I want to go to my user folder, and I can't even fucking ... from here. Like, who makes these decisions? It's so goddamn bad. Like, just have a home folder for me, like every operating system has had. And they do have that. They decided to put that in like many Windowses ago, and then they keep messing it up. And then, they have like my videos, which never works. Like, why do they make these links that don't work? This has happened for several versions of Windows. I didn't make these links. These were installed by the OS, right? But then that My Pictures link is different from Pictures. This is so summer intern. It's insane. It's insane how bad this is. But the way that even though all these are in your home folder, the way you go to your home folder is C, users, and then your name, and then you can get to documents and whatever, and then you can ... But if I click on documents here, I can't fucking do it. Like, all of these designers are fired with extreme prejudice. I would not only fire them, I would sue them to take back all the RSUs. Fuck all these people. They're assholes. Okay. So, in Windows 10 and before, when it was not so annoying to get to your users folder, we actually switched because there's a saved games folder in here now, and we put Sokoban in there. But maybe that's a bad idea now that they fucked it up again. Dude, I don't know. Like, just give me a home folder, please. Just give me a home here, and then I could expand that, and it has documents, pictures, videos in. And that's what exists. It's right here. It's users, John. Just make that my home. Now, it's got too much crap in it, but like, that's my home folder. What is your problem? Why do you make it so hard to get there? Anyway. So annoying, dude. All right. What does home at the top do? Where? Oh, this. That's... I don't even know what this is. This is like a... It's not your home folder. Right? That's why I think I clicked on this once and I was like, okay, this is just some things. Yeah. They redesigned Windows as a puzzle game. Dude, it's so bad. These people get paid so much and everything they do is so bad. It's astonishing. It would be so easy for someone to just step in and take over Windows. Like, people think it wouldn't be. It would be a long process, but it wouldn't be hard. It would not be hard. All right. I'm not going to do it. But, like, it wouldn't be that hard. Okay. Rewind effect. Okay. Right. Well, I've been ranting. Trailer shots. Okay, we just want to make sure these don't get hot loaded. And I do not see any hot load notices, so that's great. I don't know why we are allocated light probe array for 4 light probes twice. Like, we seem to be doing that twice. But that's maybe some weird artifact of the screenshot thing. I'm not going to worry about it yet. Well, we did everything I wanted to do, so this might be the end of the stream. Do we have a light probe per movable object? No. They're placed around the world, and as things go to different parts of the world, they interpolate between light probes. Because competent people turn off telemetry, they don't count in statistics. Yeah, I mean, maybe. But what that should be, if you're looking at the statistics correctly, then everyone who turns off statistics should add an error bar to your numbers, right? I bet most people don't turn off telemetry though, right? By number of users. The real problem is that Windows just isn't for people who know how to use computers at all. Which is not, like, there's nothing wrong with making it good for beginners, right? You should do that. But you should also you should also not treat people who understand computers like idiots, right? That's the thing. And they don't seem to care about that anymore. Yeah, I mean, that's ultimately the failure of Linux as well, is like Windows is trying as hard as possible to make an opening for Linux on the desktop, and Linux still can't take it because they don't know how. It's like, why? 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 Guys, 2023 is the year of the Linux on the desktop. I have a no check-in. Oh yeah. Come on. I'm getting hungry, so I'm gonna go have a meal and maybe start my day. Thank you everybody for coming by. See y'all later.